On this week's episode of the Vero Beach Social Media Pop-Up Podcast, we talked to Brian Cook from Unified Technology Solutions. We discussed the IT industry, how Unified has made changes to their business model, and of course, how they market themselves. Give it a listen. You're going to love it. I guarantee it. Here we go.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Vero Beach Social Media Pop-Up Podcast. I am here with Brian Cook with Unified Technology Solutions, and we are at United Against Poverty. Again, we want to thank United Against Poverty for letting us shoot this podcast here. But how are you today, Brian?
Doing pretty good. Just finished telling you I've had a kind of an interesting little support issue. What should have been a 2-hour issue turned into a 2-day issue. But
You walked in looking a little flustered, and I'm like, something must be going on. So it was kind of funny to hear that. We won't tell that story on the podcast, but yeah. So you're doing well today. Worked pretty hard today, but you're doing well.
Yeah. We're making progress, so I'm happy.
Great. So I want to talk to you about Unified Technology Solutions. That's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. I know. We've had discussions about that.
Yeah. And like I said, we are at United Against Poverty. So what I want to talk to you about with Unified, of course, this is a marketing podcast. I'm going to want to talk a little bit about marketing, but I want to talk about the very beginning, how you got here, how long you've been here. Give us your life story.
Life story. Okay. Well, once was I moved here actually. So it's funny because people always ask, "Are you a Floridian?" And I go, "Well, no, I wasn't technically. I was born in upstate New York." And they're like, "Well, when did you move here?" And I said, "Well, when I was 8 years old." And everybody says, "You're a Floridian." So I guess I'm a Floridian. But yeah, I've lived here most of my life. Moved here with my family many, many years ago. We won't say exactly how long ago, but so we. Moved here. I have a brother and a sister, and come in later with my brother. So graduated Vero Beach High School. Went through all the schools here. Decided that I had to get out of Vero Beach, as many people do. Got out, enlisted in the Marine Corps, Security Forces Infantry. Had a crazy life of repelling off buildings, anti-terrorism, all kinds of crazy stuff. And then I always say that job was so boring when I got out. I wanted a little more excitement in my life, so I was So it's kind of a funny story. I was standing at a recruiting fair for employment at the base as I had about a month off, and standing in line for Whack and Hut security, which everybody knows Whack and Hut security.
The jail guys.
They're at the highway rest stations. At the time, Whack and Hut security had the contract for defense of nuclear power plants in the United States. This is a whole different level of what you imagine the little security guard, scratching his butt there, standing. Automatic weapons, anti-aircraft missiles, all kinds of crazy stuff that are used to protect things. Well, they were eating up Marine Corps Security Force guys like crazy.
Oh, that would make sense.
Yeah, we were exactly what they wanted. So I was standing in this line, and next to it was DeVry University, an empty table, because a bunch of Marines aren't playing with computers, and standing in this long line. After a little while, I started talking to the guy that was over there, and I ended up wandering over there. I'd always liked computers, but I was like, just started talking to more and more. And at some point, I wandered out of the Whack and Hut line and signed up for to go to college and got a bachelor's degree in telecommunications management. Did a contracting. This was actually in San Francisco Bay, the computer place to be. Right at the end, right as I graduated, .com bust. Couldn't find a job anywhere. Believe it or not, found a job running the IT department at Vero Beach High School. So, poof, all the way back to Vero Beach I came. Did that for a couple of years, worked for another company for a couple of years, and decided, I saw a lot of stuff in corporate IT that when I worked for smaller IT companies that did business IT, same stuff I do now, just didn't like the way they did things. I saw where we could take things that I had learned from big industry and apply that to small businesses. So after a little bit, I sat down with my brother, and we decided, we should start our own IT company. And so that's what we did. I had a buddy who was getting out of business, so it kind of worked out. I took over his customers because he wanted to hand them off to somebody nice. And I know you wanted me to tell this story, so this is the perfect time to include it.
This is possibly my favorite C-suite story I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. So we were sitting down, and we're filling out the paperwork for the corporation, because Unified Technology Solutions is a corporation, and you got to fill out who's the president, who's the vice president. And we're like, well, who's going to do this? Well, and then we got into this. Well, Mike's more the business management guy. I'm more the computer guy, though. And who wants to control? Finally, I just looked at Mike and I said, you know what? You play golf. Why don't you be the president? And that was how we decided who was going to be the president. So,
And the best part of the story is Mike doesn't play golf anymore.
no, he quit golf I think a year later or something like that. So now I'm like, hey, why don't you go to this golf tournament? He's like, oh, yeah.
You have to. It's obligatory. You're the president. You have to do it. Oh, that's great. So there's a lot in that story I want to unwrap. How much in the Marines were you doing computer work?
So hilariously, officially, I didn't do any computer work in the Marines. You understand, this is the late 90s. There wasn't exactly a lot of computers around. But I always had a knack for computers. So the one unit I took over got a system called ISMIT. Many years ago, I could tell you ISMT, what it stood for. I can't even remember anymore. But it was just these big video discs. If you ever remember the giant video discs.
I mean, I remember. I don't know how many kids remember that, but I remember that.
But so it used that kind of thing. And it was a training simulator where you would play a video and you had these, they looked like real weapons, but they had ran off of compressed air. And everybody's looking at this bunch of Marines all going, how the heck does this work? And finally somebody said, well, hey, Brian's got a computer in his barracks room, which I was the only Marine in the entire unit who had a computer in the barracks room. There's only two computers, the HR guys had one and I had one, and they're like, well, let's get Brian to figure it out. So I figured it out and played it and it was great because you can have all kinds of fun. I had the key to the thing. So we'd go out drinking at night and then we'd come in and do no shoot scenarios, totally drunk. Yeah, it was a good time.
I mean, this is going to get viewed by maybe a dozen people.
That's
you sure
right.
you want to tell the story?
I'm sure the statute of limitations is well over on this thing.
I have this disclaimer I have to give you that, after my mom and your parents, maybe, there might be a couple more people to watch this.
You asked if anything was off limits, didn't you? And
you said no. All right.
Oh,
that's a great story. So you didn't really work too much on computers, but you were into them.
Yeah.
When did you, again, I mean, I guess you were in the Marines in the late 90s. When did you realize that you kind of had a knack for this?
I started programming at 8 years old on a Texas Instrument 994A. It was an old keyboard that would hook to your regular TV. And after you wrote a program, you would flip through a book and you'd copy these programs that were thousands of lines of code. You do it for days. When you stop, you either had to turn the computer off or you would record it to a cassette tape. That is literally how you save the data. And then after 12 days of this, you'd start the game up and it would be great. There'd be a little guy in a boat and he starts going down the raft and here comes the first log and you'd press left and nothing would happen. And then you press right and then nothing would happen. Then you spend another week until either you figured out what typo was in the book or that you had typoed and then whatnot. And I got okay at troubleshooting it, but I've just always had a knack for electronics and stuff like that. So
it's funny, when I was in college, I took a C++ course.
Yep.
And I got maybe a week into it and I was like, yep, this ain't for me. This ain't for me. I'm not doing this. So it's funny. I was 18 and you were 8 and you were figuring it out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't C++. It was much more difficult than C++.
Basic 10, go to 20, but
right,
yeah.
Right. Oh, okay. So you've always, obviously you've had a knack for this since you were a kid, but you didn't want to go into that. It sounded like you wanted to go into the whack and hut thing and keep doing what you were doing with the Marines. I
had always planned my whole life. In kindergarten, we had filled out a book and my mom showed it to me years later after I had enlisted and stuff. But that here's my life, which is hilarious because when you're in kindergarten, here's my life is 6 pages, right?
Right. Zero reference to anything, right? I'm 5 and I'm going to tell you what I'm doing when I'm 30.
Yep. But the last page in that book, I was going to be in the FBI or I was going to be a United States Marine. So yeah, about 6, 7 years old, and all through high school, I was in the JROTC program and I was going to be a lifer. So literally after 4 years in the Marine Corps, when I decided, maybe this wasn't for me. And truthfully, part of it was, as I said, I was in security forces. We were responsible for fleet anti-terrorism, which was protecting naval assets from terrorists.
I was going to say, that sounds like pirates. Stop the pirates from coming.
Well, on the land, it's on land, but the same idea. But after that, 2 years of that, I didn't know. Recruiter didn't tell me because your recruiter's lying to you. Whatever he tells you, he's lying to you. He's just trying to get you to sign. But, so the recruiter goes, the security force, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I want to do this. In the meantime, the Air Force is going like, hey, I had real high ASVAB scores because the ASVAB judges your abilities for computers and technical stuff. And so like the Navy's like, hey, would you like to work on nuclear powered submarines? And the Air Force is going, they got these great targeting computers and the F-16s. How do you like to work in those? And the Marine Corps is like, you want to blow crap up? I was like, yeah, sign me up. So, I, the second 2 years I was in the infantry. And the infantry is very different than what it is. When you're in the military and you don't have a job, it kind of they come up with stuff for you to do. So after 4 years, I went to them and I said, look, I love the Marine Corps, but I got to get out of the infantry. They were starting a war games division at the time, which was working with the old video game Doom. If you ever heard of it, Marine.
I definitely played a lot of Doom.
Yeah, Marine Doom was the first computer-based game that was used for training of squad tactics and military tactics, because you could have 4 guys play together as a fire team in Doom. And so I said, you got to move me to that division or I'm not moving. And I actually had a gunnery sergeant who was trying to get me moved over there. He's like, sending him letters saying, this guy's good. You got to, And they're like, no, we spent too much money teaching you how to blow stuff up. So
no video games for
no
you.
Video
you
games
got to go
for
blow
you.
stuff
Yeah.
up.
So
Sorry,
I
Brian.
said no. And I put it down and I said, either I get transferred or I'm getting out of the Marine Corps. So besides the Marine Corps, I honestly, your original question, I never knew I wanted to do computers until I was getting out of the Marine Corps. And it's like, I got to do something.
And you found an empty line.
And I found an empty line at every.
So, all right.
Recruiting.
So we're going to walk through this. So you go through college,
Yep.
you get the job at the high school. You figure out I can help small businesses because I'm seeing voids in the market, right?
Yeah.
How'd your brother get involved?
He was, while he's not exactly as into computers as I had been at that time, he had gone to college and taken programming. So he had a number, not just like you, the intro to C++ class. I did the same thing. I did one intro class to programming because, believe it or not, a lot of computer guys don't know programming. Common misconception. But he had a lot of programming, but he had also been managing a cellular store, very popular back in the days. That I guess I can say Nextel.
Oh yeah,
the big Nextel. Everybody in town knows where the old Nextel store
My
is.
number is an
mall.
original Nextel number.
Oh yeah,
it's 20 years old. Yep.
But he was kind of managing that store out there, and so he had the management experience, and then he became a mobile data specialist with Nextel. So he had training in mobile data. So it just kind of worked. He had some business skills but he also had technical skills, and he had a lot of customer service skills. I'm more of a lock me in a room with a bunch of computers type of guy, believe it or not, when I'm working.
Let you code for a week when you're 8 and then figure out after a week of coding and it didn't work. Now you go back and fix it.
So open the door, shove some food in there every now and then. When I come out, when I'm done and I've got it fixed. He's more of, has that customer service skills. So it was a good pairing that we could both work off of both of our pluses, positives, whatever you can call it. And we thought together we could provide both that great customer service experience and that great IT knowledge experience.
Gotcha. So you said that you took someone else's book of business, you bought it from them, or somehow you got it. Was that company called Unified?
No.
Okay.
It was a different company. I can't remember. It's a buddy of mine, Brad. So I can't remember the company, but no, we started. So Unified Technology Solutions was actually started with one sole purpose. We're going to start online backup systems.
Gotcha.
We were actually in business for about a year, not doing any IT work, just trying to sell cloud internet-based backups, which is now all the rage, but at the time was like the concept of storing your offsite backups that automatically went offsite were a completely new concept.
Gotcha. And then, so you did that for a while. And then at some point you guys got into cell phone repair and you had a spot in the mall. And
so
let's hear that whole.
So this is a whole experience. So when we first started, we were like, well, and this is a marketing podcast. So we tried some different marketing. We tried, we did radio ads. We had a little jingle, don't stress, call UTS. And like, we would pull into guard shacks and we laugh. We'd pull into guard shacks and we'd be like, oh, yeah, we're going to this house or something. And they'd be like, oh, you're the Don't Stress Call UTS guys. And we're like, yeah. Like everybody hears this jingle.
Jingles work, folks. I'm telling you, jingles are where it's at.
Let me finish the story.
Maybe not.
So
Hold that thought.
one thing we had done is we set up a separate phone line for the radio ads. They were advertising a different phone number than the one that we used for business. So we could look. We never got a single phone call on that line. Not even like a wrong number. So we were spending a lot of money in that and stuff like that.
Jingles work, radio ads don't. Is that what we're getting at?
That's what we're getting at. I don't. But anyways, it's part of the story because so we opened the retail shop in the mall under the name I Repair IT because we sat down and we said, well, networking works for us, but how did we think that these other companies in town were getting more business? Then we were trying to grow and be a bigger company. We were the new guy, and we're like, where are they getting this business from? So one thought we had was, a lot. We've gotten it too. You get a phone call from somebody, can you come to my house, fix my computer? Yeah, I can do that. Oh, we love you guys. I got a business. Can you come fix my computer too? There, and I can go into a whole rant about how I think some IT companies overpush themselves because they start small and they just keep taking jobs, but that's not this story. But yeah, so we were talking like we should try and get more retail type business in. So we invested in the mall in starting a company called I Repair IT, and we were in the mall and we did iPhone repairs and stuff like that, and it was okay. Just as it started to take off, a second company moved into the mall, into the food court. It's still there, but I'm not going to say their name.
Sure.
But it just became a mess because we had spent a year and a half advertising iPhone repair in the mall. That was, again, jingles, simple things in marketing work. Now, all of a sudden, we'd sit around, nobody'd come in. We'd be there. We'd get a phone call on Monday, somebody mad at us because we broke their phone. And they would tell us they had an Android something or other that they had come in on Sunday. And ever since then, the phone didn't work. We're like, okay, well, we don't work on Androids. We're not open on Sunday.
It was the other guys.
It was the other guys. Yeah. So that just turned into like our reputation was getting soiled by the same, how easy it was to say we're the iPhone repair guys in the mall. Now the iPhone repair guys in the mall are horrible. So after about 5 years, we kept working on it. We had a really strong following. A lot of people were upset when we closed because our true customers who made it to our door got great service. But after about 5 years, we had to make it or break decision, and we decided this isn't working, and we decided it's distracting from our core business. It's time to sit down and figure out what our core business is. We do all these other things. So we said, let's close the store, drop the I Repair IT name, go back to our original names, Unified Technology Solutions, which we had been running out of the back of the store. And we said, but let's try the exact opposite. So we opened I Repair IT to get home customers, and we got more home customers, and we realized how much those home customers were a distraction to our core business of serving our business customers the best way possible. So we did the exact opposite that we had done 5 years ago. We closed the retail shop, got rid of all residential customers, stopped taking any more. We had a couple that we kept until they passed away or moved on, but because we just love them. They were great customers, but we just said, that's it. We did business. And it kind of breaks down to this. When you have customers, you have business customers and home customers. Business customers, I'm broke. Get here as soon as you can. The sooner, the better. Home customers, I need you here at 12:30. Please don't come any early because my Shih Tzu is getting its haircut at the groomers, and I need you out of here by 3 o'clock because I have to go get my eyelashes done or so. And so, there was actually a story I tell people sometimes where I was literally sitting in a parking lot for a half hour waiting for a residential customer that had called and said, hey, can I get there early? Said, no, I'm not going to be there. And but they had an appointment, so I had to wait. And we said, no, this isn't it. This is distracting again for my business customers because we had business tickets that if I had an hour, I could have ran to the business ticket, but I couldn't do anything for that half hour because then the residential customer would have been upset that I was a half hour late. Right. So
we're big fans of stay in your lane.
Yeah.
So
So we changed our lane and made it very thin and focus only on businesses now.
So I'm going to start getting into the marketing aspect
Sure.
now. You've kind of hinted on this a little bit. So you, like us, are very much B2B,
Yes.
business to business. How long have you guys been exclusively business oriented?
About 6, maybe 7 years now. I'd have to go figure it out, but somewhere around the 6-7 year mark.
All right. So when I'll say 2015, 2016, somewhere in that range, what did you do? Because you don't have the iRepair anymore.
Nope.
You don't have the residential customers anymore. What were you doing at that point to convert all your business to business customers?
Well, I mean, we had always treated business customers as business customers and treat them different, which is why we found this problem of 2 different types of customers weren't mixing. There was wasted time and stuff like that. But what we did is we then doubled down on business specific things. We invested a bunch of money in remote management and monitoring tools and remote support tools and stuff like that. So the days of, all the things that aren't you see in enterprise IT, because that's where I came from. So now, it used to be you called an IT guy and the next tech we have available is at 2 and he'll come out to your office and he'll meet you out there. Now it's not a problem. What's your computer name? Let me remote in. Okay, I'm sharing your screen with you. What's your problem? And we fix about 80-90% of our problems now when the customer calls because we invested in all these tools. And it's remote monitoring and management. And the management is that we can say push software. So, hey, if Windows updates, we can make sure that Windows updates are applying when they're supposed to be. Instead of waiting for the individual computer, now if the computer is unable to install updates, we're getting alerts. Monitoring is the same kind of thing. It's all alert based. So your computer has all kinds of information it collects that sits in the event viewer logs that could tell you about upcoming issues with your computer. But nobody sits there and reads the event logs. Even techs don't read the event logs. It's always been used as a post issue. Okay, now I've got to see this problem. Let me research the issue. These tools will read that log in real time, and certain events that appear in the log will alert. Literally, you've been in our office, big screens on the window.
I was going to bring it up.
Yeah.
I've been to your office many times.
Yeah.
And one of the coolest things is, and if you guys ever visit, pop in Brian's office because it's really neat. He's got his desk with your 2 or 3 monitors or 4 monitors at your desk. And then you've got one on the wall that's bigger than all of them. And all it is every computer that you guys are monitoring, every network, I guess, that you guys are monitoring. And there's a ticker at the bottom. Yep. And it just, anytime there's an alert, flashes red, tells you what the problem is, and you know immediately. Yep. So what I was going to get at is, back in the day, it was break fix.
Yes,
right.
That was the term that the industry used. Break fix.
My computer's broken. My network's broken. I need you to fix it. Now, from the stories you've told me and from what I've seen, is you call the client. Hey, your computer's about to break, or your network is going to go down. We're going to circumvent you ever having to have any downtime. We're going to come and fix it now.
Yep.
It's the coolest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. It's amazing. I mean,
do we get to curse?
To be able to keep, you've not watched this podcast, obviously.
Marine, dude. I've been trying real hard not to.
Yeah. So now, as a business, for instance, United Against Poverty, they need 24/7. They need to be up 24/7, right? I'm never down.
No.
And having a service like yours keeps me up all the time. And I'm not, again, I'm not blowing skirt. I mean, this is what companies do now, but it's just amazing how IT companies have evolved over the last 7 years.
Yeah.
To, instead of break fix, it's fix before broken.
Yeah.
It's really cool, man. I think it's great. And like I said, being in your office and seeing that is really neat.
Yeah, there's actually the term we use for it. So the 2 types of thing is, like you said, break fix. And the term we use for what we use now is called managed services. And it's a proactive approach to IT management. It's no longer waiting for the customer call. As you said, we've called the customer and said, hey, your hard drive looks like it's showing issues, that it's going to fail. Let's schedule a time to copy the hard drive onto a new hard drive, all your data, and hand your computer back to you exactly like it was. You're not even going to know, except it's probably going to be faster or something, because usually when they start slowing down, instead of waiting for you to call me and say my computer's not working. Perfect thing is internet all the time. We don't have the best internet options in this area. As you know. You can't get fiber and stuff like that. A lot of times, by the time a customer calls us and says, hey, my internet's down, we're saying, not a problem. We've been waiting for your call. Another tech is actually already opening a ticket with Comcast. And on top of all that, we actually have this equipment installed at a bunch of these offices that physically reboots the modem if the internet goes down automatically. So internet goes down. A lot of times, unplug it, wait 10 seconds.
It's 2022. You know how you fix most electronics? You turn it off and you turn it back on again. Yeah.
So we invested in hardware for our customers. A lot of times it's included in the contracts that physically does that for them. It literally removes the power from the Comcast modem, waits 10 seconds, applies the power back to the Comcast modem, and see if it comes back up. And a lot of times it does. And before we even complete the call with Comcast, the system's already, it's back online. Never mind. Hang up the phone. Customer's happy. Save the trip. Save the customer how many untold time down. Yeah.
Why is that happen? So we're going to totally veer way off
we're gonna
of
go
where I wanted to go with this. Yeah. Why am I sitting in my house streaming a baseball game, then all of a sudden, like, I don't have internet and it's off, and then I turn it off and I turn it back on again and it works? Why? What happens?
Without getting crazy technical.
Yeah, layman's terms.
Yeah, layman's terms. So internet for the services we use is what's called shared internet. You don't have, with Comcast, which is the most popular by far around here, they just throw the internet on the line and it's there for everybody. If some wild packet comes down the line and can take a whole areas of modems and just cause them to lock up. And it's just, everything, like we said, everything's a computer nowadays. Your modem is a computer. Your cell phone is a computer. Just like a regular computer sometimes just does wacky things, and the best thing you can do is shut it off and on. The modem's the same way. It just clears it out.
So you use the term that I understand, but I don't think most people do, as a packet, okay, which is just information that's going down a line.
A bit of data.
Right.
Yes.
So when those big packets go through the internet line, is that often malicious, or is...
No. It's just different equipment. So the other problem with shared line is everything in the Comcast, and a lot of times when we work with Comcast to really figure out an issue that's been causing a lot of time. A lot of times, so there's no checks and balances on what gets in and off, what signals get on and off your internet. Even simpler than your internet, that piece of coax in your house. There's no catches what goes on and off that coax. If your neighbor accidentally plugs in a converter backwards, it's supposed to take the signal from Comcast and send it somewhere in their house and does it back. And again, we're getting real technical, simple terms like the tech guys.
Yeah, I apologize for the people that were actually entertained by what we were talking about before and have turned it off now. So I'm sorry about that. But if you're techie and you have these curiosities like I do, you're welcome.
Yeah. So anyways, your neighbors, say the line in your neighbor's house has a cut in it and water drips into it and shorts the two lines. Well, it's all one giant system. So water in the system 3 blocks down can cause corruption of data that can lock your packet up, which is much different than business internet services like guaranteed fiber optics that you can get in other places, not in Vero Beach. But, in New York, you can get a fiber optic line that goes straightly to the headquarters, AT&T's distribution center. You have the fiber in the ground is yours. The connection is yours on both ends. It's 1-to-1. Now it's, this entire system is one coax line comes into the head end in Vero Beach, that'll place down there and 814, wherever it is. Anyways, I know where it is.
Yeah, you're not asking me, you're telling me.
But everything on that line is, so your traffic, your traffic is technically on your neighbor's line. Everybody's traffic is everybody else's line. It's segmented into areas, but the general idea.
Sure. So it's a lot like a power line. Yeah, my neighbor's power line goes down, it's probably feeding me power.
Your neighbor's power line shorts. Right. It could trip the breaker way down there and shut off the entire block.
All right. Back into the conversation.
Back to the fun
stuff. Back in. Time back in. All right. Marketing. So you invested a lot of money in these products and these programs to help businesses. How were you finding businesses to hire you? What was your secret sauce, or did you have one?
We didn't.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, we took a shotgun approach to marketing. We'd throw a bunch of money at one thing and maybe it would work and maybe it wouldn't. And we never really dealt with marketing specialists. If we were doing social media ads, I was the marketing guy. I put together an ad. And if we wanted to do, like I said, we tried radio for a while. We ended up pretty much stopping everything except just stuff that we felt good about. So our marketing consisted of a while of simply our name was on the back of some kids' t-ball game team. You know, anybody.
Which,
like,
by the way, as a little league guy, like that, that's a big piece of marketing. I mean, that really is. I think that works incredibly well. My garage door went down. I called Abco, who I'm not a client of mine. Didn't know who to call. They sponsored a little league team.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, that happens. That works.
Yeah. And we loved it. So we just spent the money where we felt good. We've done a lot with United Against Poverty as we're here. They used to do a phone-in telethon, and they were like looking for a sponsor to help pay for the phone system. And we're like, well, just give you a phone system for the day. We literally came in the day before, built a phone bank for them, provided all the gear, built a phone bank system, paid for an 800 number. And they ran a phone bank for a day for over the holidays with the radio station and stuff like that. So our name got said on the radio station there. Lots of nonprofit events around town. A lot with the chamber now. We sponsor this event from the chamber, or that event from the Cancer Society, or something from Do You Give a Rock, or just anything that we just feel good about. We try and spread the love, especially with customers of ours. We always try and we have a lot of nonprofit customers, and we feel that we should definitely, the bulk of it should go back to them. But it was more feel good. Hey, I know those guys type advertising.
I love it. I like that stuff. I'm going to divert again a little bit.
Sure.
We're at United Against Poverty. Again, thank you for letting us shoot this. I've never been in this building.
Mm-hmm.
It's massive.
Yep.
They have a lot of stuff going on.
Yep.
But you guys have done all the networking, all the phone lines, all the everything in here, right?
Yes. Yes. We actually, when they were building this building, their corporate office was upstairs from our office, in the same office complex. And it was kind of funny because we kept going to them like, hey, when you guys, we really need to talk about your IT, because they were next door. We knew what was going on. We had become friends. You become friends with people in your building and stuff like that. And they're like, yeah. Well, when we're ready, we're gonna hire somebody. Well, they had started to build this building, and they brought in two different wiring companies, low voltage companies, to do the TVs, the alarm systems, do all the network wiring, because the wiring is often a different company than the actual network equipment. And everyone, of course, good wiring companies, one of their first questions they should ask you when you're building a building is, who's your IT guy? Because we want to build it for what they're doing. A lot of people go, well, you design it, and then they hand it to the IT guy, and the IT guy's great, but where you wanted that printer, you never put a network jack there because you never told the wiring guys you wanted a printer there.
Sorry, your printer's going over there now.
Yeah. Oh, we've had that conversation with many, many customers. But yeah, so two wiring companies went up there, talked to them. First one, buddy of mine, came down like, hey, we talked to them upstairs. I told them about you. Second one goes up there, buddy of mine, comes back down and said, hey, and I asked him who their IT guy was, and they said they didn't know. So the CFO at the time comes down and goes, well, we've had two wiring companies in here. Both of them asked who our IT guys were. And they said, we don't know. And they both replied pretty much, well, you're really lucky because UTS is right downstairs from you. So just hook up with them. They'll get you taken care of. So they said, we just got two recommendations from total different people to use you. So we're just going to do it. I'm sure they did a little, they did some cross-checking and stuff. But they pretty much were like, yeah, okay, everybody told us we should use you. So that's what, so we helped when they were doing the layout with this building. We looked at what they wanted to do, had discussions with them of what they hope to achieve, their goals, their plans, their growth. Because one rule is always, you can drop 4 lines in a wall when you're building the building. It'll toss you about that much just to do 1 line after the walls are up. It's just so much more expensive to add wiring after building complete. So we're always like wire.
I've got 4 TVs in my living room. A lot of people know that. And I can tell you from experience, dropping lines in the wall after the fact is a pain in the ass.
Oh, yeah. It's a nightmare. You got to climb in the attic. Everybody hates doing it. So, and especially if you get a shot later up here.
Yeah, I definitely don't have ceilings this tall.
Yeah, everything's in conduit. So there's no putting it above the panels. So if you want 6 lines and there was only 4 lines slated, well, maybe that conduit was only large enough for 4 lines. Right. Because the problem is everybody gets a bunch of bids and goes with the cheapest. So a lot of the wiring guys, and it's not their fault. They know how to do it right. But the market of I'm going to get a bunch of bids and choose the cheapest guy means that they need to cut everything close. If you only have 4 wires, they're only putting enough conduit for 4 wires, maybe 6. They're not putting a conduit that's going to fit 8 or 12 for you down the road.
They're not going to pay extra money. The contractor's not going to pay extra money.
No, because they're probably going to lose the job. So anyway, so we did that. So we sat with them, helped plan out the layout. We also then provided all the network equipment. Another thing, don't let your wiring guy provide your network equipment because he's going to hand it to you and walk out the door. They love it because it's great markup. And my wiring guys are going, don't tell our secrets right now, But they know I've told them this straight up. Like the wiring companies we use,
my mom won't tell them.
Yeah. Because they're going to touch the equipment for a week. We're going to touch the equipment for the rest of your life. Let the IT guy choose what he wants to use, what he's familiar with. Every IT piece of equipment out there has issues or problems with it. There's no perfect IT equipment, but your IT company is going to know the problems with the equipment that they're putting in and how to work around those problems. So you're never going to see the problem because we know, if we do it this way, it's going to be an issue with this specific switch. So we're going to do it another way. But yeah, so we put all the equipment in there. And we also did the phone system here. We don't advertise a lot, but we do phone systems. I've told you this before. We do VoIP phone systems, but we feel that the network controls the customer experience of the phone system more than the phones, more than the thing. If you don't have a good network, you're going to have a bad phone system. So we actually only sell our phone system to our own customers. So you're only eligible to get a phone system from us if we manage your IT in general. And again, it gives our customers that, let me pick up the one phone, call one company, all my technologies. So we did the phone system here and some other things. We tied it into announcements and things.
Gotcha, because we're going to have Andy go get some
we're going to go get some cool
of,
footage of the cool rooms.
I think it'll be cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So from a marketing approach, it was kind of a shotgun approach. I mean, obviously now we're doing some ads for you through social media, but I love the hometown kind of, especially in a town like this. If you're in Orlando, if you're in Miami, it's tough to do that. But listen, if you're sponsoring Little League stuff, if you're sponsoring youth soccer, if you're sponsoring stuff that United Against Poverty is doing, I mean, your name's going to get out there and people are going to talk about you. And of course, word of mouth is always, in my opinion, the best marketing you can get.
Yeah, and that's where our biggest thing from this day is word of mouth. It's funny, we do a lot of companies that people have heard of. American Icon Brewery, Big Shots Golf. We've done systems for them. But it's funny because the ones that everybody's heard of are probably not the ones that we make a lot of money out of. Big Shots Golf has 3 computers. The brewery, I think, has 1. There's not a lot there. United Against Poverty, on the other hand, I think has about 125. So this is a much larger. No, I changed that. Has 125 if you don't call it the labs. They have multiple labs that are 30 computers. So yeah, it's a lot of computers. But yeah, so it's funny, some of our biggest customers are ones that people never even heard of.
I've never been in this building.
Yeah.
Of course, I've heard of United Against Poverty a million times. You see them around, but I've never been in here. And you're telling me they got 125 plus?
Not in this building. Now, United Against Poverty has 4 sites. They have this site here. They have a second site that's grocery only in South Vero. Here they provide all the services for Indian River County. Now, Against Poverty the grocery store. Way more than a grocery store. Yes.
I didn't realize that's what was in here. So that's really cool.
It's a full-blown grocery store, and it is you have to qualify, and I'm not a UAP expert.
Sure, no, I get it. I'm not asking you for that.
Yeah, you have to qualify to shop here, but sadly, with what has been going on with COVID and people getting laid off and stuff, a lot more people qualify now than used to. But you have to qualify to use the shop. But they also provide a bunch of other services, employment services, helping you job training services. They offer classes of how to use Microsoft Office basics so you can get a job. And they actually have some partner organizations over there that can actually provide additional services. There's a church over there and some other nonprofits that. So the whole concept of this building was somebody who needs help can come into the building. They can buy some groceries. They can get some employment help. Maybe they can get some assistance with a bill or something like that.
This place is neat, man.
Yeah, well,
this place is really cool.
For somebody, and here I'm going to turn into the UAP ad because
When
One
we're
rule,
here.
yeah. One rule I have is I learn my customers. Like, how can I serve my customers best if I don't understand what they're trying to accomplish and what their business is? So, but yeah, so they do. The idea is, somebody with low income that needs assistance might not even have a car. You don't want them spending 2 days bussing themselves all around the county to go to this department and that organization. So the whole idea is there's a bus stop literally out back. It's right on the bus. Somebody can come here, park, whatever, come in, take care of all the issues. Not only the grocery store, there's actually a little market store over there that sells
I walked
home
by to use
goods
the
and some
restaurant
other
to use the
stuff,
restroom, and it looked like there was bicycles and
yeah,
things
there's
like that in there.
bicycles and stuff like that. So
Cool.
everything in here is well, I don't want to say anything. Some of the grocery stuff is purchased because they can't, but a lot of it is donated. Overstock by stores, something's not selling, they'll donate it off while it's still good versus throwing it away because it's a tax write-off for them. Amazon, they get a lot of Amazon stuff here that returns, oversells, stuff like that. But that's where most of this stuff in here, it is perfectly fine. It is not expired. It's not, there's some things.
It's funny. I was going to have United Against Poverty on a podcast, but I think we're killing two birds with one stone here. Yeah.
They should be happy that I know their
two
stuff.
podcasts in one. No, they should be. They should be happy that they have you helping them for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, and then they have one in St. Lucie County in Fort Pierce, and they have one in Orlando.
Okay.
So
all right, interesting, cool. That's it.
That's it. That's it.
That's all I had. So I wanted to talk about your background, how long you've been here, how you got into computers. We talked about your Marine service.
Yep.
Thank you for your service. We talked about how you and your brother got involved. You told you're the golfer, you're the president.
Yeah, the
story.
golfer's the president. Let's
see. Yeah, man.
Well, I'm getting into skeet and trap now, so I might have to have a corporate takeover. I actually used to play a long time ago, and I was talking the other day, like, I gotta get back into skeet and trap.
All right.
So
well, let's
maybe
go.
I'll have a corporate takeover because that's what new age CEOs do now.
I've got a little Remington 870. Let's go shoot
let's
some
go.
clays,
I'm
man.
in for it, dude. There's a place in Okeechobee. Have you seen it?
I've heard about it. I haven't
the
been
thing
there.
is awesome. They had
There's a place
So
right here
we
on
got-
like 66th.
I got an advertisement. My wife shows me this advertisement. This is a funny story. It's completely unrelated to anything we're talking about. But it's a funny story because we've gone to that.
Okay.
So and it was like $299 for an overnight stay in the Okeechobee gun range. It included 100 clays, 2 people admittance to the pistol range, stuff like that. And my wife put on there, she's like, she had actually put it on the other side, which is something like 50 clays for $70 or 100 clays for $70 or something like that. They're getting free advertising from me now too. And she's like, well, maybe you'd like this. I'm like, well, it's really cool, but this is only on Thursday. It's only available on Wednesdays and Thursday. I can't take a day off, go to Okeechobee. But I flipped it over. I said, but this is cool. She's like, what's this? And I said, well, it's this overnight thing for $299. You get a cabin, you get 100 clays. She goes, what would I do? I said, who said I'm bringing you? Like, this is my getaway. Like, I'm just going to go rent the cabin by myself. So if you want, maybe, dude, we'll see if they have 2 singles and we'll just go
do it.
Spend the night in Okeechobee and shoot clays all day.
All right. I'm in, man. I'm always down for shooting. Cool. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, man.
No shout outs? Nothing?
No shout outs. Mike, hey, you should have been here.
Yeah, Mike.
But, no,
Man.
Mike's back at the office guarding the fort.
Mike let me down. We were sitting in my office talking about this podcast, and you were all about, hey, I'll jump. Mike was like, not going to do it. I am not going to do it.
It's so funny because like I said, when I'm working on computers, I'm the guy that's like, lock me in the room. I don't want to talk to people. Like, the guys, I'll send updates to my techs, and my techs will update, keep the customer informed because we want to keep it. But I'm like, I don't want to talk to people, blah, blah, blah. But then outside business, anything else, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll go. I do all the networking events. I do all the talking. I've done talk to groups about security and cybersecurity and things like that. So yeah.
Well, Mike, you
my
missed
2
out.
alternate lives. Yeah.
Yeah, Mike really missed out. So
You should have been here.
So if you don't have anything else,
No, nothing I can think of.
that's going to do it. Thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you, United Against Poverty. We got a little, like 2-3 minute shout out there.
Yeah,
Hey,
hey,
great.
They get their money worth out of me, right?
That's right. So thank you all the watchers and listeners, and we'll catch you next time.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Thank you.